Konnichiwa.
Welcome to the Jandals in Japan podcast. Kia ora and konnichiwa. Catherine here. I'm flying solo today on Jandals in Japan as Jane is a bit under the weather. Sending you all the best, Jane, and get well soon. Well, as we wrap up September here in Japan, it's starting to cool down, and I have to say, it's a welcome change for me. I love the cooler weather. If you're planning to head up here from New Zealand, you're in for a treat. Autumn in Japan is simply stunning, with those crisp blue skies and the vibrant leaves. It's really my favorite time of year, hands down. Speaking of perfect timing, just before I hit record today, Air New Zealand launched their Dreamy Sale campaign with some fantastic deals on flights to New Zealand from Japan. I couldn't resist, so I jumped online and snagged up a ticket for Christmas in Christchurch. Yay! If New Zealand is on your list, or even if it's been a while, now's the time to make it happen. And speaking of flying, perfect topic. Today's guest is none other than Hans Nagahara. He's the head of Japan for Air New Zealand. He's a part of the furniture at Air New Zealand, we have to say. He first joined the airline in 1990. After a stint away at Finnair, he returned to Air New Zealand and to join the team in January 2024 as their Japan branch head. We are big fans of Air New Zealand over here at Jandals in Japan. It's our little piece of home in the sky, and Air New Zealand is just a true ambassador for New Zealand. So without further ado, let's hear it from Hans.
Kia ora, Hans. Welcome to the Jandals in Japan podcast. Great to have you on the show today.
Kia ora. Thank you for inviting me.
We're very excited to have you, and we like to start with a warm-up question. Our question for you is, what is your favourite place to visit in New Zealand that Air New Zealand flies to?
Well, that's a very difficult question because there are so many good places in New Zealand. So, well, of course,
Put you on the spot there.
Probably this answer is maybe a little bit different from other people, but I really like Auckland. There are a nice compact city having everything, and also the nature is very close by. I like to see both city and nature, so I like Auckland. And of course, like everybody else, I like Queenstown, Christchurch. Of course, the Wellington is a lovely city too. Mm-hmm. And Rotorua is very nice with natures. And so there are so many good places in New Zealand. So I really can't decide one.
Catherine, where are you giving your vote to today?
Tough question, Jane. Of course, I would say Christchurch, but having recently in May flown to Bay of Islands, I really enjoyed that trip, and the scenery was amazing out of the window. And in one place, I was going through cloud cover, and the aircraft shadow was reflected on the cloud, and it was surrounded by some sort of halo or rainbow. I was so excited. So I'll have to say Bay of Islands for my choice this time.
Oh, that's a nice one.
That's very nice.
How about you, Jane?
Well, I'm going to put my vote in for Hokitika.
Oh, is that where you're from?
Well, my family lived in Westport for many years until recently, so I often used to fly into Hokitika Airport. It's a beautiful flight over the Alps. It's so lovely in winter when on a good day. And when you get there, the beautiful view of the Southern Alps as well from Hokitika. It's a really lovely place to start your West Coast adventure as well. So a little plug for the West Coast there.
Fantastic. Do they still have those? What are they? Secret flyer? What were they? Mystery flyer.
Weekend. Yeah.
Mystery weekend tickets. You used to be able to buy a ticket for someone like a mystery weekend, and they wouldn't know where they're going. So they might end up in Hokitika or Bay of Islands or Christchurch or Wellington. I remember giving one to some friends, and they were just thrilled because they didn't know where they were going. It was very exciting. You already get to the airport, check in, and then they tell you, you're going to Queenstown or something. So it's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Anyway,
exciting.
we are, as Jane said, so thrilled to have you on the show today, Hans. You
Thank
are
you very much.
head of Japan for Air New Zealand. You first joined Air New Zealand way back in 1990.
Yes.
Then you flew away to Finnair for a little while and came back to Air New Zealand just recently in January 2024, where you rejoined. It seems like
Yes.
DNA, once you get it in your system, New Zealand, Air New Zealand, you can't get rid of it. And so that's drawn you back. Obviously, Air New Zealand, no need to say who they are or what they do. So well known. And for me personally, when I get on a flight from Narita, I feel like I'm home. When I
Yeah,
get,
that's what
I
we
really
offer.
do. I feel
Once you
like,
step,
yeah,
yeah,
when I
once
step
you step
on,
in, yeah.
I really feel like when the greetings, everything. Anyway, we're going to get into it. So we're thrilled to have you. Welcome again.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be back. And yeah, I spent 19 years from 1990 with Air New Zealand. Then I left for Finnair for 14 years, and I'm back
Wow. Yeah. So
from
tell us about, yeah,
southern edge to north edge and back to southern edge again.
south, north, south, north. Tell
Yes,
us about your background before that then. So how you got to be interested in joining in New Zealand.
I was born and raised in Kobe, as probably everybody knows, with famous of the Kobe beef. And I spent a little bit time in United States for at the university. Then I started with the company name called Thomas Cook.
Oh, we
You
know.
probably
Yeah.
know it's
Yeah.
yeah, it was a big travel agent in Anglo-Saxon world, and they had a sales office jointly set it up with the company called Wagonly. And so Wagonly is the that time biggest company in Latin world. So they had joined together to set up a sales office to sell a product in Europe to travel agent. So that was my start of well, travel industry journey, and
Mm.
I spent the time with them for 2 years doing sales to the trade partners, travel agents. Then while working within the travel industry, I found that the airline is the key role for the travel, and I really wanted to join the any airline to learn about airline business. Then I joined Air India. That was my first
Oh,
airline to
really?
start. That was back in 1985.
Wow.
I
Okay.
started with the reservations and ticketing. So I was sitting at the counter and talking to the customer, issuing tickets. So that sort of things to start. Then I moved to airport services at old Osaka Airport, Itami Airport, when it
Tummy.
was used to be an international airport.
Yes.
Yeah, then I started to learning about airport services. So I was there for 3 years. Then I came to know Air New Zealand is starting the services from Nagoya in 1990. And that time, general manager Japan for Air New Zealand, he was Japanese, and his son was working at Japan Airlines, and he still is working for Japan Airlines.
That's
And
Sano. Was
he
that
was he
Sano-san?
yes, that was Sano-san. Yes,
Oh, takes me
yeah.
back.
Yeah, and he asked his son to look for someone
Oh,
would be capable to handle a New Zealand flight at Nagoya. Then
wow.
his son contacted me that Nagahara-san, are you interested? Then I said, of course.
Mm.
Then that was the start of Air New Zealand journey back in November 1990.
Wow, look at that. I mean, someone's who knows you, their son, and you get invited like that, and there it changes your life, really.
Yeah, really. Yeah, really changed my life.
So it's
Yes.
been a while since then. What sort of things have you noticed changing over time, perhaps with Air New Zealand or the industry that have really impacted travel and tourism?
Yeah. Firstly, when I joined Air New Zealand, population was, I think it was 3.7 million, and
Right?
I was told that 70 million sheep. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Indeed.
Those
Now
days.
that
Yeah.
more people in New Zealand and a little bit less number of sheep, I believe.
That's right. New Zealand has diversified, thankfully, to
Yes.
other things.
Yeah.
But is there something different too in the way that Air New Zealand did its business back then and
Yeah.
to how things happen now?
New Zealand was very known as a honeymoon destination
Mm.
back in late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
And when I was working at Nagoya Airport, particularly like a flight on Sunday and Monday, because the wedding is happening usually over the weekend. So the Sunday flights and Monday flights are packed with the honeymoon trip. And sometimes I would say 95% of the passenger is honeymoon couples. What's going to
Yeah.
happen there is that was the time we were operating Boeing 767 aircraft, which
Mm.
has the seat layout of 232 configuration. So there must be someone has to sit front and back with the
Or
couples.
across the aisle.
Yeah,
No, no,
or
front and back.
no,
You're
no,
right.
across
Yeah,
the
front
aisles,
and
no,
back. Ooh.
front and back. So I of course I try my best and try to let the couples sitting together side by side. But of course there is some cases that front and back. Then I remember one case that we had one group of travelers of I think it was like 30. So usually if we assign the group seating, that's like a closer together in the block. But I assigned them in one aisle seat all the way from top to bottom to protect the
The
couple seat.
honeymooners.
Yeah.
I
Yes, excellent
see.
Still,
idea.
still that there are two or three couples have to sit front and back. So I let the travel agent let them do janken or toss or whatever to decide who to be. Those people have to sit separately. Yeah.
It came
You've
to Junkin,
it's
a very
so funny.
Japanese
You
Yeah.
way.
So yeah, New
wow.
Zealand was a very very famous destination for the honeymoon. So then the
Yes.
highest time back in 2002, we had 173,000 visitors to New Zealand from Japan. But before the COVID, we were seeing around 100,000. And after the COVID, it's only like around 50,000 now.
Mm.
Oh,
So my aim is to bring that back to at least doubling to 100,000 and hopefully
yeah.
back to 173,000 in
Yes.
future. But
It's
of
fun.
course, the setup is different. It used to be that time,
Mm.
I would say 95% of the passengers are Japanese. A
Yes.
very little number of Kiwi coming to Japan.
Yes.
But now it's 50-50. So many Kiwi is coming to Japan. That is good things
Mm.
because the 50-50 split with the Japanese and Kiwis, that's a very healthy route.
Mm-hmm.
So to bring the more Japanese numbers back, we need more capacity. So we have to doubling the frequency or such. That's my dream.
Yes, that's our dream too. We're very
Yeah.
invested in you doubling the capacity and increasing the
Yeah.
routes. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember the old days of the Osaka to
Yeah.
New Zealand route,
Yep.
and also, did you used to fly to Christchurch, or am I remembering that
Yes, we
wrong?
we
We
yeah,
did.
we had a flight from Japan to Christchurch
Yeah.
direct. They're both
Yes,
from
that was
Tokyo and
amazing.
Osaka.
It
Yeah.
was really amazing because you could just arrive into Christchurch and then you could go anywhere from there. But
Yeah.
please bring back that one first.
Yes, can we put that at the top of the list?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
please.
try my
Oh
best.
my
Yeah.
goodness,
Yeah.
but your stories of the honeymooners, I was one of the tour guides standing at the airport waiting for the
Okay.
honeymooners' trips to arrive. I worked for JTB
Okay.
and you just taking me back down on memory lane to hear that because it was like that. We would arrive Sunday,
Yeah.
Monday,
Yeah.
Shinai Kanko, right? We'd do the, and
Yeah.
city sightseeing and it was just always like that and it was packed, literally. They
Yes.
were some good old days, I tell you. Goodness me.
Yeah.
So, what do you see now then as maybe opportunities, perhaps even challenges? Because a lot of challenges are opportunities in disguise for New Zealand and the Japan market.
Yeah. Yeah, I think now that less people traveling overseas as a honeymoon trip, but I think there is a potential there.
Mm,
And of course, the New Zealand can offer a lot, and having more slow flowing times and well, the best fit for the honeymooners, they can have more time to talk to each other or such. So I think the good
mm,
fit for honeymoon trip. But nowadays, more individual traveler is
right.
increasing rather than the group travel. So I think more opportunity to see different parts of New Zealand as
Mm,
individual travelers, not like a fixed itinerary of traveling with buses and such.
right.
Well, of course, that is also important, but I think more opportunity for Japanese people to see a wider range of New Zealand.
Do you have any interesting stories from your days, early days at Air New Zealand, or perhaps even when you went over to Finnair?
Well, I've done a lot of things in airline, like was starting from reservations and ticketing and airport and sales and marketing and things. Then when I was working at the airport, I was happened to be in Auckland for the meeting. And unfortunately, one flight from Auckland to Osaka was cancelled. That flight was operating via Brisbane, Auckland, Brisbane, Osaka. Then flight was broken down in Brisbane. So then we have to carry the stranded passenger from Brisbane back to Auckland, and we could manage to do that with our schedule service between Brisbane to Auckland. But what to do with the customer flying from Auckland to Osaka? Then luckily we had a spare aircraft that time. Then we could set up the extra flight from Auckland to Osaka direct. But the problem was that there was no interpreter. That time we only have a one interpreter flying on the plane, not as a cabin crew. It's just supporting the information and announcement on board. Then my manager that time looked at me and yes, there is a one Japanese speaking person
We know
here.
someone.
I know someone, and he said,
Oh,
"Do you want to help that flight?" I said, "Oh, of course,
oh,
why
of
not?"
course.
I said, "Then I was supposed to leave following morning, but I packed the suitcase and left that night, and the extra flight was leaving around 10 or 11 at night. So I went to the airport and I checked in and well, sit as a passenger, but I talked to the cabin crew and anytime if you want to make announcement, important announcement, just let me know and I will do the
Oh my
translation and so. So
goodness.
I did, I did that. Well, very instant flight interpreter on the one flight.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Hopefully,
So
there
the
was a manual there
yeah.
too that you could look at and get the right wording because everything's very technical on the flight. So
Yeah.
that would have been
Sometimes
quite a
yes.
little bit of fun. Maybe you could have a bit of fun with it and tell people.
Yeah, I had fun with that,
Oh,
and of
good.
course,
Oh,
I
well
couldn't follow
done.
the 100% what is written in the manual, but so I did
Go with the
pretty
flow.
much ad lib type of
Oh, well,
yeah
excellent.
messaging.
Great
Yes,
story.
yeah,
So there was a time when there was no Japanese speaking flight attendants on board to do the announcements. So you had a dedicated interpreter who would fly
right.
back and
Yeah, we did
forward.
have yes, yeah, one flight have one interpreter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
they just that was their job to fly back and
yes,
forward.
right.
Oh
Oh,
my goodness.
Yeah,
wow. Things have changed. We are
yeah,
very lucky to have any various language speaking people on flights
yeah.
these days.
Nowadays, of course, we do all the recruitment in New Zealand, and all the New Zealand residents are the cabin crews. So, which means that more Japanese people living in New Zealand. So we have opportunity to hire a Japanese-speaking person in New Zealand.
That's right. Yes, we do
Yeah.
notice a few Japanese members of
Yes.
the crew. Yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And quite a few Japanese members have very strong Kiwi accents too, which is really,
Yes.
really lovely. Again, it's another factor to make you feel like you're home when you get on
Yes.
board.
True.
Do you have any insider tips for like packing or advice for travelers who are going between both countries? Maybe.
One tip for on the flight is Air New Zealand is one of the airlines which offer free Wi-Fi on board, and most of the airlines charging the Wi-Fi. So yeah, just utilize that free Wi-Fi and enjoy all the music contents or video contents, anything that you prefer. Maybe the in-flight entertainment is not enough for everyone. So
Hmm.
There's usually
yeah,
some pretty good mix there, though, and new latest releases, some
yeah.
oldies and
Nowadays,
goodies.
yes, yeah,
So
we
lots
have.
of range across drama and Japanese and other language movies, and also I think the Wi-Fi. I never really used it before. I just thought, no, I'm going to stay on flight and not use it. And then I figured out the two
Mm,
steps because
yeah,
I thought it was just one step to connect, and I could never connect. And then I
yeah. It's two
realized there's
steps. Yes,
two.
yeah,
Duh! I figured it out, and so I
yeah,
do use it for getting emails ready, but I don't
yeah,
send anything while I'm on the flight. I will bank them up and then
yeah.
send them, schedule them to send later.
Oh,
So
okay,
I
yeah,
want to use your Wi-Fi very much. I'm very thankful for that, but I don't want to make
yeah,
people know that I've got it and
yeah.
use it on the flight.
Yeah,
Whoops, I
it's
told my secret, but there we go.
Wi-Fi. Yeah, Wi-Fi is a good and bad. In old
Mm.
days, they're saying that's well, particularly like a busy, well, top businessman. They say that only on the flight, nobody contacts.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
nowadays on because of the Wi-Fi, you can
Yes.
communicate anytime. So it's good or bad.
So, what can New Zealanders learn from Air New Zealand about
Yes.
the Air New Zealand journey in Japan? We know that Air New Zealand has been in Japan for a long time,
Yeah.
and for a very long time, they weren't even allowed to fly between New Zealand and Japan, but they still maintained a presence here.
Mm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think that doing a successful business in Japan is to understand Japanese culture, the way to do the business, and what the market is seeking for. So if we can follow that business rule or business demand, then we are always successful. And many of the foreign company has made a mistake or didn't do well is try to streamline everything from what head office view. But the market is different to the country by country. So we have to learn the business practice in each of the country. That is the first step of the success of the business, I believe. For example, like Japan's case, satisfaction level is not the highest of 100. Good satisfaction level for Japanese people is always 120%. We
Right.
have well in Japanese 120%満足しました. 120% satisfied. That is really the satisfaction level. So we have to give that little bit of beyond of expectation level in everything. So that's the target level or goal level to do a business with Japanese company or Japanese people, I think.
As an airline, what does 120% look like? So 100% might be
Yes,
X. So what would be your example maybe of doing
yes.
120?
100% satisfaction level is really the factual satisfaction, probably. On top of that is emotion level. For example, for the airlines or onboard services, beyond expectation is the anticipation by the crew. So asking, for example, asking drink before you ask,
Right.
or any help before you ask for the help. So the cabin crew notice by your behavior and sense that this customer is looking for something. So even though the crew doesn't notice what exactly the customer is seeking for, at least ask, "Do you need any help?" or something like. Just notice by the behavior or something like that.
I have a story that I want to share because it's such a beautiful example of how Air New Zealand cabin crew do this. And it's about, oh, nearly 13 years ago now. But I was a brand new mother coming back to Japan with my brand new baby who was 6 weeks old. And it was just after the Daishinsai, the 311. And I was going home to Fukushima. And I did not actually want to come back to Japan, but I kind of had to. That was a bit of a tricky situation. But the cabin crew didn't just say bye when they got off the plane. They were with me all through the airport and helped me and made sure I had my bags and was sort of like waving out to me at will you get your
Carousel?
passport checked? And then when
Carousel,
we
yeah.
got to the carousel, they were like made sure that could get my bags off and that I went through the where they check your bags at the last section before you go out into the world again. So it wasn't just like, see you bye at the door and then we don't have anything to do with you anymore. They looked after me all the way to the exit. I was just so grateful. And I actually made sure to send an email to Air New Zealand and say, no, about the wonderful service that I experienced. And thank you to the crew for that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's nice. Yeah, and I think that's the really the nature of New Zealanders. And I think the Air New Zealand cabin crew is really just performing as a normal Kiwi, I guess.
Yeah, also the Japanese crew on the last flight I was on, I got upgraded and it was really great. And then also, as well as that, there was a sleeping package you give people when they're going to sleep. And it included a gel, something to help you sleep. It had passion flower in it. You can pop it on your temples. I thought, oh, I really want that product. I better stay awake. And then I couldn't stay awake and I fell asleep. Next morning, a Japanese lady crew member said, "You fell asleep. We wanted you to still to have this. Please use it during your travel. Really want you to use this product and enjoy it." And I was so delighted because it was only a small thing, but it mattered a lot to me because she didn't think, "Oh, she's just fallen asleep. Shoganai, too bad." She actually did bring it to me the next day because she knew also I was really looking forward to using it to
Wow,
see if it made a difference to my sleeping on the plane. So little things like that are the 20 or 30 for 40%. I walked off that flight really delighted, going, "Oh my goodness, I can't
that's
believe they
good.
even
Yeah,
thought
nice.
that about me." So it was really
Mm.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, from me, seeing the Air New Zealand cabin crew, they do a fantastic job, and
Yeah.
I always feel that I'm so lucky working for Air New Zealand, and I really always hope that our customer feel the same, and they
Mm,
do the best to please our customers. And in general, I really like New Zealanders. We can share this similar value between Japanese and New Zealanders.
mm,
So I think that's the best part. I'm always feel grateful that working for Air New Zealand.
absolutely. Are there any other collaborators that you have with Air New Zealand that you really find as your partners that really matter? So it might be the local airports or just people that we may not even have on our radar that are really part of the success story for Air New Zealand.
Well, in old days, before online business comes in, everything was going through travel agents.
Right.
So the trade partner for us is the most important part of our business. And even though the online business is grown, and our online business is around 40% of total, and 60% still coming through our trade partners. So having a relationship with the trade partner, supporting each other, understand their needs, and of course requesting our need. So a mutual good relationship is the key to success. And sometimes more just pushing what airlines needs, it doesn't work. Of course, we have to understand what market needs and what travel agent needs. So of course our biggest partner is travel agents. And to promote New Zealand, we can be a partner. We are open to everyone having interest toward New Zealand. We can work
Mm,
together always. And nowadays, the biggest partner could be, other than the travel agent, is the schools, because many schools sending the students to New Zealand,
mm,
and we
mm,
support the schools sending the students to New Zealand. And nowadays, like wine business,
mm.
and of course we support all the rugby players, and
Fresh produce, like we get all about currently so many gorgeous apples coming through as well, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Wow, amazing. And we heard also that you're increasing the flight volume,
yeah.
right? So tell us about that. How are you increasing?
This is not the increase of the frequency; it's the changing the size of the aircraft.
Oh,
That's
I
the main
see.
thing. Because
Ah,
we,
that's what it
yeah,
is. Thanks for clarifying that.
yeah, we have basically a daily narrator services. We always having second services during or New Zealand peak time, starting
Mm,
from end of October to end of March.
mm,
Three weekly flights additional during the peak time. So we have 10 weekly flights. Then starting from end of October, we will deploy 777 aircraft, which has the bigger business class and premium economy. Economy class size is about the same. So we have more capacity in front
mm,
cabin, premium cabin.
mm,
Mm.
We have business class from 18 to 44,
mm.
and premium economy becoming from 21 to 54. So those premium cabin becomes about 2.5 times bigger. So more opportunity for people enjoy the luxury service of
Sure.
flights.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that
Fantastic.
is a huge demand from Japan market and also from New Zealand,
Mm,
since the operating cost is becoming more expensive compared to before COVID time.
mm,
Or the fuel is going up, and all the resources going up, so the total airfare is going up, total tour package is going up. So people tend to fly on the premium cabin so that the gap looks smaller. They're happy to spend more on the premium cabin, particularly in Japan market. That is happening
Oh,
after
I
COVID time.
see. So if you're
So
gonna
we are
spend
complying to that
10,000,
demand.
you might as well spend 15,000 and go premium or something, right?
Yeah,
Right. I see.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because if
Yeah.
you compare like a package product with the economy class, it's like almost doubling the pricing compared to pre-COVID time. But
Mm.
if you compare in for example the business class, probably maybe 50% or 60% more, not double. So the gap looks a little bit smaller.
It does. It does.
Of course, the
Yes.
total amount is big, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
talking about the percentage wise, it looks smaller.
Mm. I see.
And I don't know if everyone knows, but Air New Zealand is a great place to do business.
Oh, yes. Did you know
Yeah.
about this,
Did you
Hans?
know this? Coming back from my flight in May and had a chat with a person there who was in a New Zealand company, ended up somebody who could come on the podcast for one thing, but we had the whole flight basically chit-chatting and talking and having some drinks and really being able to do business in the flight was something I'd never thought about before, but actually it's possible.
Mm,
So people shouldn't underestimate the power of being in one space where people can't run away, really,
mm.
apart from
Yeah.
turning off, I suppose, from speaking to you. But a great place to do business as well on NZ99 coming back.
Or and I quite often have these like meetings with people I haven't seen for ages in the lounge before you get on the plane. It's like, oh, it's you, and it's like, oh, you're going back to Japan, or you just got off the flight. You came back on the same flight together, and yeah, sort of a great reuniting sort of
Mm,
place for people to going to and from Japan. Yeah.
mm,
In New Zealand were in the market for a lot longer before actually flying. And that I think your predecessor often talked about patience in the market was really necessary and making sure you built your relationships within the different groups here. And then when you finally were able to get this the flying licensing to come into Narita, it was already set up to go very nicely. But I thought that was quite a good point, and probably you knew some more about that part as well.
yes. Patience is very important, particularly as Catherine pointed
Mm,
out, talking with the government. And still, Japan is the traditional way of doing business, particularly in the bureaucratic side. So we really have to be patient and how to deal with our contact point in government is very very sensitive. it's
mm.
it's not really work like western way of more straightforward type of communication. It's really winding and longer way and
Kind of
to
Nemawashi, right? Is it sort
Nemawashi,
of
yes,
doing a lot
yeah,
of just pre discussions and
that's
things?
right. So that's
Mm.
that's very important.
Oh, I
So
see.
that's the way that we have to
Mm,
understand the culture, how to do business in Japan is learning that. In
mm.
our case is not particularly talking about traffic rights and sorts of things in regulated part of
Yes,
discussion. We really need the patience. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's really time consuming, and relationship is very very important to do business here.
indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
Is there an airline? There must be an association here that you meet with other airline
Yes, we
managers
do.
just like yourself. I
Yeah.
guess obviously you can't share the information that would be anti-competitive, but what sorts of things are you able to do together as a group to maybe make a better relationship with, say, the government or the landing authorities? Is there a way that you work together to do that?
Mainly, we work together to fix the problem or upgrade the services at the airport. That's the
Hmm.
quite big things,
Right.
like try to reduce the cost at the airport services and such. So that's sort of the things we work together.
Hmm.
And the recent topic we had is fuel supply.
Oh,
Jet fuel
yes.
supply was an issue,
Mm.
and we worked together to lobbying with the government how to fix the problem and how to alleviate the issues and such. So that sort of thing we can work together.
Mm,
As long as we don't talk about the pricing or
exactly.
strategy or anything
Exactly.
like that, we can work together.
Hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. And how about coming forward? You know, if you think about if you had a crystal ball, you could see the future. Any sort of insights that you think or can see with the this evolving landscape here, maybe even between New Zealand and Japan relations, opportunities or even challenges that you're seeing down the road coming?
Hmm.
Mm.
Challenge is the still the Japanese customer, particularly in the holiday makers, still hangover from the COVID time.
Mm.
So is it already okay to go outside?
Mm.
Many of the people still thinking that way, and it has been reduced, but it still exists. So like well, in old time, the good time, if you go to the office, and some of your colleagues said, "No, I went where and I went there," then that would motivate other people to go outside.
I
But
see.
nowadays, not many people going out, so no, that kind of discussion is not happening. So then
Right.
many people still feeling that is it okay to go outside of Japan and such.
Mm.
Like us being in this industry, of course we don't feel that way, but some of the working for the conventional company or such, they may still worrying about what other
Mm.
people
Of
are
course.
doing or
Yes.
such.
Yeah.
Mm.
And of course, the full travel outside is the biggest burden at the moment is the foreign exchange, and
Mm.
Japanese yen
Mm.
is so weak.
Mm.
So wherever you go, you feel very expensive.
Yes.
But of course, on the contrary, if the Kiwi coming to Japan, not only Kiwi, every foreigner coming to Japan is
Yeah.
will bargain sale
Good
every
time.
day.
Yeah, good times
The
are waiting
moment.
here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I have
yeah.
one
Well,
more question. What would you say would be the percentage of the population in Japan who know about Air New Zealand? It's one of our New Zealand premium brands. What would you
hmm.
say would be the percentage of people know that you exist?
Probably, I would say still around 20 to 30%.
Right.
I would say, yeah, because it is very difficult to say that. Well, like us being in an industry, of course, we know all the airline names, but for the people in general, asking about one particular country's airline name may be difficult. Of course, we are working on the promotional activities, but still it's limited with the given budget. Of course, we cannot do all the massive promotion like daily products like Coca-Cola or McDonald's or such. So we can't do that kind of promotional activity. So it's very limited to show our names to the audience. I would
Mm.
say still small.
I think people are interested though. So if I'm in a taxi in Tokyo, mostly the drivers these days in Tokyo, they never used to, but they do ask,
Hmm.
"Where are you from?" I say, Air New Zealand. I say New Zealand, and they say, "Oh," we talk a little bit, and then they say, "How do you get to New Zealand? Is there a Chokobin? Is there a direct flight?" And go, "Yes, yes, 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 yes," and tell them the story. I usually get on, like typically get on at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night from Narita, arrive the next day, and it's only a 3 hour time difference, maybe 4 hours in summer. This is my usual story. And so, you arrive without jisaboke, no sort of jet lag, and you can just basically leave the flight, get a taxi into town or whatever it is, and do your business meetings. And they're like, so really, is that right? So
Hmm.
many people don't know, but I'm doing my best to do
Yeah,
promotion
it's a
around
one-woman
town.
marketing there.
One woman.
One taxi driver at a time.
In general, maybe people don't know and it hasn't come across their radar, but often they say, I really want to go sometime. I heard it's really lovely for this and
Mm,
for that.
Yeah.
So there is an interest, but I think probably people don't have access to it because maybe they don't know a New Zealander or who do you talk to about this? They may not know where to go. And as you say, you're restricted in your advertising or being able to approach
Hmm.
so openly or proactively in that way.
Yeah.
So we're doing our best,
Yeah, thank you. And
local
talking about
marketers.
the promotion, we are the only one airline flying direct to New Zealand. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
our
captive audience.
yeah, weight on the promotion is more on the destination, New Zealand, not on the airline itself. So if the visitor is bigger, we take the bigger share of the market, so the volume it will automatically grow. So we try to make the upper funnel of interests bigger. So promoting or marketing destination New Zealand is our top priority before the airline brand.
I see. Yeah, you get the
Ah, I
goal out
see.
there, and then to
Yeah,
get there, well, of course, you need to go by this line,
right.
right? Yeah. Oh, interesting. Can you tell us, are there any projects or initiatives or things that you're working on at the moment that our listeners should know about?
Yeah, we very much put the weight on promoting premium cabin, business class, and premium economy. So we selling airline brand as Dreaming Airlines, having a good rest on the board. So that's our message at the moment. Yeah.
Mm.
Fabulous. I love a good sleep on the
Yeah.
airplane
Yes.
on the way to wherever I'm going.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, we have a unique product like, as you know, the Sky Couch. So
Mm.
which very rare airline has that product.
I
Only at
all
the moment, I think the Air New
oh,
Zealand and ANA.
yes.
So
I did use the Sky Couch. It was great. I loved the Sky Couch. It was really fun. Who comes up with these names? Dreaming Airline. And I loved your new GU Rando,
New
right?
Zealand,
I've
yeah,
Beautiful.
used that a few times when people will
yeah,
talking about New Zealand being such a free country. I'll say, yes, it's new
yeah,
GU, free
yeah.
land, right?
Yeah, we work together with the marketing agency and our
Right.
marketing team
Very good.
together. And Dreaming Airline is in Japanese we call it Yume Miru Airline.
You
Oh,
made me do airline. So
Airline, yeah.
cute.
Mhm.
cute. I feel like that makes me want to join, right? And go on the
Yes,
flight.
yes.
Oh my God.
Well, I have to say, Air New Zealand is lucky to have you, Hans, with your end-to-end experience of airlines and airports and
Yeah.
customers
And
and
in-flight
this
announcements.
in-flight. You can even do the in-flight announcements if you have to. And you've been a natural here on this podcast today. It shows, obviously. So I was thinking, you're far too good at this for this to be your first time, Hans. Have you done something like this before?
Well, I didn't tell you about this, but I had a radio program in the past. Well, my first phase with Air New Zealand. I had 4 years of radio program at Kiss FM in Kobe. That's FM program, and that's called Discover New Zealand. 20-minute program every Saturday morning. I
Oh my
talked about
goodness.
New Zealand. Yeah.
And what did you talk about on the
Oh,
show?
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
anything about New Zealand. We set it up. A DJ of the station becoming pretending an audience. That lady is questioning about what's available in New Zealand. What is this
Right.
I
Like a
see in
listener
New Zealand?
question or
Yeah, listener
something.
question.
She,
Then
yeah,
I will
yeah.
answer the questions.
I
Yeah.
see.
Oh
Do
my
you have
goodness.
is it still out there in some YouTube
No, it's
or
unfortunate.
analogs or somewhere?
I left the program to my colleague in Osaka when I came to Tokyo in
Yes.
2004, and I continued probably I think it was up until 2007 or eight, but then it's finished. Yeah.
Wow. I wonder if we can
Mhm.
find somewhere
Yes. Is there
some
any evidence
early
left?
days of Hans doing
Yeah.
Discover New Zealand. Wow.
Discover New Zealand. Yeah.
And what was the
That
Wow.
Japanese title? Was it called something else in
yeah,
Japanese?
it's called Discover New Zealand.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
Ah.
cool. I
Yeah.
remembered Kiss FM from living in Osaka in those days, but I
Yeah.
don't, gosh, I must have missed you or doing something else on a Saturday morning, but
Yeah, Saturday morning at
fantastic.
10 a.m. start. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm.
amazing.
Basically, I tried on live. Not, I hated recording
Right.
because the
You like just
so
talking live.
Just do
Yeah.
it
yeah,
live and casual
yeah,
and fresh and
that's
yeah.
right. Even though I made mistake, but that's also the good
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
good
Oh, good on
atmosphere. So
you. Very
Fantastic.
cool.
yeah, I did
Thank
that.
What
you for
an
sharing
amazing
that.
service, though, too. Like, and amazing marketing for Air New Zealand to
Exactly.
have this regular weekly radio
Yeah,
spot
right.
in
Yeah,
Very
Osaka, of
good.
all places, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Great.
Amazing.
right.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for inviting
Yes.
me.
Congratulations. You are now a Jandal in Japan. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, that was a fabulous episode that we had with Hans. We hope you discovered some new insights about the business of flying between Japan and New Zealand and Japan. Now, if I had to pick out one takeaway only from this, Hans really drove home the idea that looking after someone isn't just about meeting expectations in Japan. It's about going that extra mile, and it's every single time doing that. 100% effort is what is expected here in Japan, but it's that 20%. That's where the magic happens. And he told us a lot about that, how you get that emotional connection with somebody. He reminded us that it's those little unexpected gestures, right? Like it could be leaving a handwritten note with flowers in your customer's hotel room, or finding that special shichime, right? The 7 spice, what is it? Sprinkly thing that you put on yakitori, right? At the restaurant you might have taken them to. They've said they love it. You just go and find it, source it for them and give it to them. And then it might also be something like giving them a business card holder that's got their initials embossed on the front. It's those really powerful actions that you can leave a lasting impression. So make sure that you do that, because then your customer and your guest in Japan are going to feel truly valued. So next time you've got somebody coming up here to Japan, ask yourself, what can I do that's going to give the 120%? How can I make them feel like they've really been thought of by me? Well, that's my takeaway. I hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to having you back here soon, Jane. It's been sad you not being on the intro and outro with me, but we know you're going to come back shortly. Thanks everyone for tuning into this episode of Jandals in Japan. We'll catch you here next time with some more stories and insights. See you soon. Thanks for listening. Make sure you check out our guests' links in the show notes.
This podcast is brought to you today by Catherine O'Connell Law and Pod Launch with Jane. If you have a great story you think should be on the show, come and find us on LinkedIn or Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.
Mata ne!